Hey everybody, what is up? Welcome back to Final Trade. I'm just going to do this podcast style today. I cannot believe the amount of negativity I am seeing out there over Commander Masters. It is unbelievable. Imagine that after DM22 last summer, which was one of the highest selling products in Magic's history, you come into 2023, you start the year off with Phyrexia, which is the best selling standard set in Magic's 30-year history. Then you come into this summer, you have Lord of the Rings, which is the best-selling Magic expansion in the entire game's 30-year history. Not just the best-selling standard set like Phyrexia was, the best-selling expansion of the entire game's history. And then the very next expansion, Commander Masters, you have all these Timmies running around with their hair on fire, saying that Magic is dying, it's all over, there's no value, it's uninvestable, there's nothing worth anything anymore, it's all being reprinted into the ground, they're crashing everything, they're extracting all the reprint equity, it's all going to zero. Again and again and again, panic, and the sky is falling and everything forever and endlessly. You know, there's something that Rudy talks about from time to time, and it's the ability to stand the test of time as an investor in any kind of market, not just the TCG market, but the number of times in 20 plus years in the stock market where I've seen people in discussion forums for stocks, for good companies, for blue chip companies, for the type of companies that old people wish they had held in their brokerage accounts for decades. People will have bought these companies, they've bought positions in them, and then they'll come into the comments section and they'll say, this company, it slipped 3% today. I sold my whole stake. They sell their whole stake because it slips 3%. And this is a company that, you know, it's based in America. It's had a decades long history, sometimes over a century-long history of dominance in its particular field, and then one day it slips 3%, and they think they should sell their entire stake, and that's how people are acting with Magic right now. And it's not even like Magic is on the downturn. Look at Phyrexia, look at Lord of the Rings. Magic is at its zenith. It's not even in a bad spot financially. The game is amazing right now. And the most important thing to us as investors is that Magic network. It's how much money is being poured into the network. How many card stores carry the product? How many distributors? How many printers are set up to build it? How many players play it? How many collectors are there? How many investors are there? How many marketplaces are there? Man, and you have all these people just running around with the dumb short-term thinking saying, oh yeah, it's all, you know, Commander Masters means it's all going to zero. You know what? You know why WotC is able to extract reprint equity from cards in Commander Masters? It's because those are the best cards. It's because the market has already blessed those cards and said, these are the best cards. And so WotC lines those cards up and it puts them in Commander Masters and it extracts some reprint equity. But you know what? Those will still be amongst the best cards. Even after Commander Masters, those will still be the best cards and they will still appreciate the best in the long term. And those sealed boxes of Commander Masters that you buy over the next 6, 9, and 12 months, they will still appreciate nicely in the years to come because they will still be full of the best cards. Yes, WotC will extract reprint equity out of them over the next couple of months as WotC sells them to distributors. But in the years to come, you will gain the appreciation because you will be holding those cards in the sealed form. You will be holding the Gambler's Premium on those sealed cards, the best cards. And you know, if you're listening to this at all, you likely believe that there's some kind of value in TCG investing, unless you're that guy who always talks about it was never meant to be this way. But unless you're that guy, then you think there's some kind of value in TCG investing. And if you do, then you certainly have to believe that Magic investing has some kind of value. And if you believe that there's some kind of investing value in Magic, you have to believe that master sets specifically have value, because Standard sets, yeah, I've done analyses and shown they only barely on average beat the S&P 500 in the long term. Master sets are where it's at because they're full of de facto the best cards. And so you can't just take a master set and suddenly just take this stupid negative view that, oh, it's just going to be terrible because, well, why? Why? Because it's full of the best cards? How does that make any sense? Why? Because it was preceded by Lord of the Rings and all the money has gotten sucked out of people's wallet. And so it's already down to the price point where the average small card store in the US can't sell it on a marketplace and pay 12.5% fees and pay $10 for shipping and put it in your hands and make money. Is that why? That doesn't mean it's a bad set. That doesn't change the mix of cards in it. That doesn't change the foil and the art treatments. That just doesn't change the desirability. That doesn't change the playability. That doesn't change anything about it. It's ridiculous, the kind of attitude that people are taking towards this set and saying things like, oh, well, those collector boxes, they're just a lottery ticket on getting a textured foil. Yeah, I mean, in a way they are. I mean, that's part of the gambler's premium. That's part of what TCG investing is about. It's the chance of what may be in there. That's what the EV uncertainty and the value of the EV is. That's why that alligator mouth opens up over time. I mean, that's exactly right. That's what we're doing this for. That's why we keep products sealed instead of cracking open every single bit of it and obsessively sorting it all to see exactly what we got. That's why the sealed product has additional value over the singles inside, especially as time goes on and the alligator mouth opens up. It's just crazy how negative people are getting, and it's really confusing to me that we can come off of the greatest performing standard set in Magic's history in Phyrexia just this past January, and then the best performing expansion overall in Magic's history in Lord of the Rings literally 4 weeks ago. And all of a sudden, there's all these Timmies losing their minds over Commander Masters and thinking that somehow this is the end of Magic. It's terrible. The set's going to bomb. It's going to be horrible. It's not going to appreciate. It's just going to be an awful thing. You're dumb to invest in it, on and on and on. You know, the set boxes, I don't know, maybe they look a little overpriced. I can't tell what's so special about them that commands the high price. Maybe the list is getting exceptionally jacked this time. It's going to have some super power hitters in it, but even then, the variability on list pools is incredibly high when it's typically one list pool per 4 booster packs, and then you have the additional variability on drawing a rare or mythic from the list slot on top of that. So I can't really expect at this point that it's the list, unless, golly, I can't even imagine what you'd have to put in the list. But yeah, I just don't see what all the panic is over. And you know, the market is already dealing with it. For the people who are arguing things like, oh yeah, there's no more cards over $100 that they can reprint and put in it. You know, that's part of why you can walk out and you can get a Commander Masters collector box for $193 after your eBay MasterCard cashback on eBay today. We're still 2 weeks from release and it's $193. Enjoy it, guys. Enjoy the hell out of it. Buy it cheap and stack it deep, because in the years to come, it's going to be a great asset to have bought and held on to. You know, buy some, hedge your position now, and wait for bonus bucks on Black Friday when the Wilds of Eldraine have already come out, when maybe Wilds of Ixalan or Caverns of Ixalan or whatever it's called has already come out by then, and people have forgotten about Commander Masters. The prices have come down even more. Card stores are ready to sell it at a loss and move on, and then you get bonus bucks on top of that, and hey, maybe it'll be an especially juicy bonus bucks on top of the 15% we've already become spoiled to. I just can't understand it. It's baffling. You know, you have to learn to stand the test of time in markets, and I look at people who are skeptical of the stock market, are skeptical of investing, are skeptical of just sitting patiently on stocks of good companies, on index ETFs, on good, solid investments, and being patient investors and growing their wealth. And, you know, they panic at every little sign from the market, every negative article, every little bit of information that is designed to get clicks and to upset people and to panic them and not really be intelligent, not to make you think about things instead. And, like they say, you need to invest with a calendar and not a stopwatch. And I don't know, it's frustrating to watch people just be so panicked about Commander Masters as if it's going to be some giant disaster. If it flounders at release and we can buy it at 180 and then on bonus bucks in a couple months, we can buy it for 160. Yeah, reach in, grab that falling knife with both hands as hard as you can, grab it as hard as you can, and put back as many boxes as you can afford. Buy the draft boxes, buy the collector boxes, buy them all. I was responding to someone who had made a comment about the collector boxes, and the collector boxes, in terms of the number of rares and mythics in it, they look like a pretty decent value compared to the draft boxes. It doesn't look like a lottery ticket based on getting a texture foil or some particularly rare treatment of a really desirable card. The draft boxes have 24 packs, the collector boxes have 4 packs, and I think the collector packs have a guaranteed 4 or 5 rares and mythics in them, and the draft packs have some amount of rares or mythics. It's like 1 1/3, and then they have one slot that's legendary. It's yet to be seen how much that slot is going to get diluted down because of too many slots dedicated to legendaries. But you have stuff like the Dragon and is it Linvala, and some of the others that are the really desirable legendaries from the set. So we'll just have to wait and see what happens to the prices of those cards. But really, in the short term and even in the long term, all of that is noise. What happens to the card prices? Well, the same thing that happens to the single prices every time a set's released. They fall. Box breakers get their boxes, they break them, and they list singles for sale because that's how box breakers make money. The single prices crash. People who play the game, they buy singles. And the downward pressure on singles puts additional downward pressure on the sealed product. And in the short term, the TCG expansion life cycle causes the sealed product to come down in price. Maybe there's a reprint wave. There will be additional restock waves from WotC to the distributors and from the distributors to the retailers. And eventually the set will go out of print. The supply will tighten up and prices will rise. It's what always happens. It's what has always happened, and it's what will always happen. And all this panic and all the drama and all the wasted effort and emotion over Commander Masters and the price right now and everything else will ultimately be wasted. It'll all be wasted because the TCG expansion life cycle tells us what will happen in the long term. And the smart, unemotional investor does not care about the short-term noise. They focus on the long term. They stand the test of time and they say, what do I need to do to grow wealth in the long term? It's ignore the short-term noise, fall back on what we know will happen in the long term. So I don't get it. It's in a way, it's like very mildly frustrating to me as like running a YouTube channel like this, because I get into this weird kind of perception where I view, in a small way, I view my audience as this like monolith. And so I sometimes catch myself illogically kind of thinking, hey, I've already told you guys, don't think like this. And then I remember, wait, I interact with hundreds and thousands of people, and some of them disagree with me, and some of them move on and stop watching my videos. They get replaced by other people, and then, some people need refreshers on the information, and some people learn and kind of jump aboard my bandwagon and things like that. And so it is necessary that I kind of reteach these lessons. So that's something that I need to be more cognizant of, is that, it is something that has to be repeated. And I think that's something that Rudy kind of is aware of when he talks about the reserve list and how, he's pounded the table about the reserve list for 7 years, and he's kind of sick of talking about it because Nothing about the reserve list is ever going to change. It will always be valuable. The reserve list never plateaus. So it's only short-term thinking and people indulging in the straight line fallacy and zooming too far in on a chart who think that things are going to zero and it's all doom and gloom. So let me know what you think, guys. Send me your questions. Anything else? Join the Patreon. Like, comment, share, and subscribe. Join me on Final Trade. Thanks a lot.